especially in the Europe. So if these guys are going to sell these bikes in Europe, they have to meet the standards. And that's why you see the Chinese are now improving the quality of their bikes. So you can be very sure if you buy one of these, you will feel the value for money. This bike will handle wind differently from this other guy. You know why? This guy is so open, but this one is closed. How are you doing today, my friend? My name is Meshak, and here we are again at Power Bikes. And today we have different motorcycles. The last three videos were about the Vogue 300. And today we are talking about these two beauties. This is Taro 400. Did you even know we have a 400cc Taro? Come, let me show you something. We have a cafe racer here called the Taro 400 Ranger. A very beautiful bike, as you can see. We have another one here, a sports bike, 400. And the beauty about these bikes is they are not only 400cc, it's a proper 400cc motorcycle. A properly working 400cc motorcycle. To be specific, these engines are coming at 377cc, which is supposed to produce around 38 horsepower at about 35 Newton meters of torque. Something else about these bikes, twin cylinders. These are not singles, these are twin cylinders. And not only twin cylinders, liquid cooled EFI twin cylinders. Liquid cooled EFI twin cylinders. As you know me, I have been an ambassador for the Chinese motorcycles. It's not a secret. It's not a secret I have been an ambassador for Chinese motorcycles. And it is not because I love them so much or I have some vested interest in Chinese. It's because I know they are practical. They are practical. They're practical. And again, the Chinese manufacturers always give you what you're paying for. What you're paying for. According to the dealer, Nairobi Power Bikes, this motorcycle is supposed to cost you around 615,000. It's not a very cheap motorcycle. So from that point of view, you can expect the quality of this bike to be somewhere around 600,000 shillings. What 600,000 can give you in a motorcycle is what you are getting from here. Because most people complain about Chinese bikes because maybe you bought one at 150,000. What you paid for is what you got. This is 615 and this around 630, I think 630,000. The engines don't look almost the same, but their specifications are pretty much the same. The outer side of the engines look different, but the interiors are the same. This bike comes with a 14-liter tank, 14 liters. And looking at it, this is a highway bike. It's a highway bike, mostly for commuting to work, if you ask me, and some short rides in the weekends. But that doesn't mean you cannot take it for a long ride. If at all your body can accommodate a cafe racer for a long distance, you're good to go. And this bike will go because you see, it has a radiator. It's liquid cooled. It can take you for a long distance only if and only if your own body can accommodate this. The other guy is a sports. Looks like a proper sport bike. A twin cylinder with dual discs to the front, ABS, yeah? It's a liquid cooled 377cc, 610,000. Looks like it is worth every coin. But I don't know. I don't know. You be the judge. Between the two bikes, with an estimated top speed of around 160, which is not so small because most 400cc bikes, even the ones from Japan, go to 170, 180 maximum. The manufacturer is telling you, we are guaranteeing you 160, which will depend on other factors. For instance, for me, I am almost 90 kilos in body weight. My height is just 1.5 inches short of 6 feet. Someone else comes here with 5.5 height, 75 kilos. Technically, you don't expect these bikes to perform the same. They will not perform the same when two different lidars are put on them. Something else, the wind condition, the direction where you're riding, they will not behave the same. Someone is going to Naivasha through Maimahio, another one is on Thika Superhighway. They will not behave the same because top speeds are determined by a lot of factors. And again, you don't even need top speed. How many times do you ride 160? How many times? I don't even see you being very safe while riding at top speed. Top speeds are not safe. Let me give you a scenario. This bike is a 400cc. There is another one, maybe 750. Let's compare this to Suzuki Gixxer 750. When you're doing 150 on this one, you are sitting on gear 6. This one. Your RPMs are 3/4 of the red line when you're here. Gear 6, 3/4 to red line. Someone else is on a Suzuki Gixxer 750, doing 150, gear 2 or gear 3. Let's give them gear 3. If they are sitting on gear 3, doing 150, you are sitting on gear 6, almost red line, doing 150, you are not safe on this one. If something happens and you need to slow down from 150, this person will struggle to slow down compared to the one riding the Suzuki. These are factors that we need to understand. So the question would be, what is the comfortable riding speed? What is the comfortable cruising speed? I would give this one 120 to 130. 120 to 130, that one would be very comfortable. This other guy, this is not for speed. And if you're buying these bikes, do not buy them for speed. It has the capacity to get to that 160 kilometers an hour, but it is not designed to do that. Different bikes are made for different reasons. You get that? Different bikes are made for different reasons. This motorcycle is around 170 kilos in its body weight. This one is slightly lower. Okay, slightly lower. It's around 170 kilos. This bike will handle wind differently from this other guy. You know why? This guy is so open, but this one is closed. This guy is closed, this is open. So even performance-wise, when it comes to different weather conditions, they are not going to perform the same. They are not going to perform the same. And that is why their weights are different, even their prices are different. I've never owned a Taro. I have never taken a Taro out for a ride. But when I look at what this is, I can assure you, this is not your typical Chinese bikes. This is not your typical Chinese bikes. One thing I'm so much appreciative when it comes to these bikes that are coming to this side of Africa is that these guys are now starting to comply with the requirements in the Europe and USA. Because these bikes are selling in the US, in the Europe, South America, go to Argentina, go to Chile, go to Mexico, these bikes are there. And there are standards that they have to meet for them to be sold there. So the era where we used to hate anything Chinese, we used to condemn anything Chinese, is coming to an end. When was the last time you saw EFIs, ABS, yeah? Premium bikes coming from China? The last time we saw a frame like this coming from China was a Benelli. Benelli, the bike that uses such kind of frames. And these frames are used in Europe by the KTM and Ducati bikes. So do not just sit there and think that these guys are just coming up with something looking beautiful from outside. They have done a lot of research. Because before I came here to record this video, I did my own background check about what people are talking about these bikes in other countries. These guys are starting to get some burger points, if I call it burger points, because they have started improving the motorcycles. Look at the suspension. Look at the suspension. This one looks like it is straight from Japan. Looks like straight from Japanese bikes. The telescopic inverted shocks. Look at the brake discs. They look straight from high-end bikes. Maybe not as better quality as the high-end, but they are worth the money you're paying. 610. You get this bike. For how long it is going to survive on the road, that depends on whoever is riding it. Whoever is riding it. Nairobi Power Bikes has sold a lot of bikes, hundreds and hundreds of bikes in Kenya, for those who know this company. They have sold different bikes. One of the most famous bikes that these guys have sold is the Tekken. The Tekken 250. Some people bought the Tekkens and they were dead in like 3 months. The engine is dead, the frame is broken, the bearings and everything, dashboards are not working. Others have gone to 70,000, 80,000 kilometers on their Tekkens, still intact. From the same manufacturer, from the same dealership, same roads. So before you complain about the Chinese bikes being poor quality, ask yourself, am I handling them the correct way? Am I handling them the correct way? The quality of plastics is improving with time. These are not the plastics we got 3-4 years ago coming from China. They are improving because they do not have a choice. The Chinese manufacturers don't have a choice. They just have to comply with what is going on as long as they are going to continue selling. Something else, there are restrictions coming up each and every day. From Europe, from US, restrictions, especially the emissions. The emission restrictions. And that's why you find even the Chinese companies are starting to shift from the carburetors and now adopting the EFI system. Because someone is washing them. Someone is washing them. You know, in history of motorcycling, we have had different bikes that got different glories because of how they performed. One of the bikes I would want to mention here is the Kawasaki KLR 650. For those people who know Kawasaki KLR, it's known for its unkillability, if there's a word like that. Being unkillable. What do I mean by unkillable? This is a bike you can ride, harass, misuse, but they still find a way of continuing to run Kawasaki KLR. But in 2018, after being produced from 1987, until 2018, Kawasaki had to kill the KLR. The reason being, it did not pass any emissions levels acceptable. Every emission level that is set, KLR was high above the acceptable levels. That's why they killed the KLR. Until the year 2022, when they released the generation 3 of KLR that came with EFI. So right now, we are having Kawasaki KLR with EFI system. No more carburetors, we are now into EFI because of emissions. Emission standards. Something else you need to understand is the history of the Land Rover Defender. Land Rover Defender 110, 109, 110, up to I think 130. At some point, almost the same time, 2018, 2019, somewhere around there, Land Rover killed the Defender. They discontinued the Defender. Because these things are destructible, but they have an issue with emissions. So as much as they can last forever and live longer than you, they have a problem, emission problem. And that's why you see the Chinese companies are now improving the fuel system, the combustion system. They are improving, making sure that these bikes will meet the standards set by the EU, the African Union, of which I am not very sure whether we are serious about emissions in Africa, the Americas, the emission standards. Yeah? These days we are talking about the carbon deposits, the greenhouse gases and stuff like that. Emission standards have become so strict, especially in the Europe. So if these guys are going to sell these bikes in Europe, they have to meet the standards. And that's why you see the Chinese are now improving the quality of their bikes. So you can be very sure if you buy one of these, you will feel the value for money. You will feel the value for money. Nairobi Power Bikes are the dealers. If you want to know more about these bikes, if you want to see them physically, if you want to sit on the bike and feel how it looks like, just have an appointment with Nairobi Power Bikes. Their contacts are here. These are the 400s. And we have different colors. I have seen different colors in the showroom. There's green and there is another black. There is this one that looks like almost BMW S1000. Yeah, that shade looks like BMW S1000. The 2022 BMW S1000. Looks almost the same, including the headlights. Very beautiful bike. There is a red, there is another one white, a lot of color shades, depending on what you prefer. My name is Meshach. Questions about Taro, bring them